What's up, guys? By the way, bringing a video today of me playing my warrior. Was gonna play my warlock, but I thought, fuck it, I feel like smashing shit in the face. So of course, I'll just jump on that warrior and just start smashing away. Haven't actually done a leveling video in about 2 weeks or something. It's been a while. I haven't actually recorded any or anything. It's not that I haven't just uploaded it. I haven't recorded any. Mainly because I've just been recording a lot of Hunter PvP. I'm actually really, like, I know it sounds weird, but I fucking love Hunter PvP right now. I'm just enjoying it so much. And the thing is, because I render and upload so frequently, I don't have much time to actually do it, like, while I'm not doing those things. Like, I might actually only play WoW for, say, 2 hours a day. And then the rest of the time is spent me editing, rendering, uploading, all that kind of stuff. So because of that, I never really do my leveling videos because I'm busy just trying to PvP as much as I can. Because it's weird to say, but I enjoy making the videos. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoy making my Hunter videos. But at the same time, I love PvPing and listening to some music as well. And it kind of relaxes me a lot, just being able to sit there and kind of just chill out, listen to music, listen to a podcast or something. For instance, I was listening to Two Best Friends podcast. Actually, right before I started listening, recording this video, and when I PvP, I listen to it a lot. And their podcasts go for about 3 hours or 2 hours. Like, they're long podcasts, but they're good podcasts. If you haven't listened to them before, they just talk about everything, like gaming and all that kind of stuff, and like even sometimes like anime or just movies. Basically, everything I'm into, they talk about. So I'm always listening to them, and it's a super like just chilled out sesh of just smashing face on a hunter while you listen to like a couple, like four guys talk about gaming. I don't know, I really enjoy it. If you haven't checked out that podcast, I recommend it highly. Level 44, that was quick. I just got Cleave. I'm not too sure if Cleave is even viable anymore. Like, does it do... I'll try it later. But in terms of this video, what I wanted to talk about was just life and where life's going right now. For me. A lot of you guys seem to be interested. Actually, I should Cleave right now. Cleave. Cleave. I don't think it did any damage. So a lot of guys, you guys seem to actually be very interested in my life in terms of actually what I'm doing. And, like, for instance, my videos where I actually talk about my life, my history, everything like that, does a lot better and gets a lot more likes, a lot more comments, in comparison to me when I'm just talking about random shit. I mean, don't get me wrong, random shit's always fun to talk about, but you guys actually seem to like stories about my life. So I thought what I might talk about was the time I broke my foot. I don't know if I told this story before. I may have, actually. I may have. I think I'll tell it again and kind of like actually go into detail because I don't think I went into detail even if I did tell it. And not to mention, like, I made those videos a long time ago when I had no subscribers. Yeah, I'll tell it. Fuck it. If I do DC, by the way, my server's been having super fucked up lag sesh just all the time for the past, like, day. So, if I do DC, I'm going to keep recording and just try and log back in. It might look ugly in the video, I'm sorry, but I'll try and continue for you guys. Anyway, so I broke my foot. And the reason I'm going to tell this story is because it actually has affected my life, and I'll kind of go into that a little bit as well. So around the age of 13, was I 13? I would have been I think I was 13, but it was like Christmas of, oh shit. Oh shit, son. Agreed. I'm not gonna need it. I was around the age of 13, and I got a new bike. Now, I was really into BMXing at the time, but I was already, like, I hit puberty at the age of fucking 12. You know, I hit puberty early. And, I remember being in primary school, like, pimples and shit. It was fucking horrible. So, I'm the age of 12. I'm already, no, I'm the age of 13. Already hit puberty. I'm about 5 foot tall already. No, I'm already about, like, 5 foot fucking 8 or something. Like, I was pretty tall for a 13-year-old. I was taller than anyone I can even remember at that age. And so BMXing, I'd always get like a sore back while I BMX because I kind of like I would have to haunch over to like be on a BMX bike. So my mother at the time, like I've never been really rich, so my mother saves up all this money, gets me this Christmas present, which is a mountain bike made for jumping and doing all that kind of stuff. I'm not too sure what it's called. I think it was called like a Narco. I think it was the brand, but it's like a mountain bike with like huge suspension system, really expensive. I think it costs like $1,200 for a fucking bike. Like, just stuff like looking back, I don't know if you guys do this. Looking back to when I was a kid, I wish my mother never spent money on me. Like, or my parents never spent money on me. Well, my mother's the only one who ever spent money on me, so I should say that. I fucking like always look back and I think, well, I just imagine if she never bought me anything and just saved all that money. Like, we'd be so much better off. But anyway, fucking, or like I could have like had a car or something like when I got to that age. Instead, I got a fucking mountain bike. Anyway, so I get the bike. Costs a shitload of money. I know it costs a shitload of money. I treat it like it's fucking like the second coming of Jesus Christ, and I'm holding the baby in my hands. Like, that's how I treat that bike. I'm like so careful with it. I didn't even want to jumps on it for the first like 2 days because I'm like, oh, I just want to look after it. I don't even want it to get dirty. But as with all things, I eventually like stopped giving a shit too much. I start jumping. It gets dirty, but you know that's why I got it. You know, start jumping. I get confident. I get too confident. I get way too fucking confident. I'm like fucking looking at huge things and thinking, oh yeah, I'll jump that soon. I'm gonna jump that. And I'm hitting stuff that I've never hit before. By hitting, I mean like jumping these huge jumps and shit. And I'm thinking, I'm getting super confident, like I'm getting into it. And I've stacked a few times on those jumps, but they're all like, they're not big enough to where it's an issue. Kind of like I'm not gonna break a bone from fucking up one of these jumps. And then my mates build these jumps on the weekend. Like that's the whole thing we did was I kind of lived, well I still do live like out in the bush in the middle of nowhere. That's why my internet's so shit. So I'm kind of living out there, and every now and then we'd build these huge jumps, and my mates would jump them. I wouldn't jump them because I was a pussy. Well, at least I thought I was a pussy and being like stupid and shit. And then one day I'm like leaving on that bike, and I see this guy with a huge truck of like soil in the back of his truck. And for some reason, like I thought he's gonna go dump it. Like we all thought that. I can't remember why we thought this, but we thought, you know, he's gonna go throw the fucking dirt out. Keep in mind I'm like 13. I flagged down this dude in the truck at the age of 13, which for me sounds super fucking weird, but I was always like this. Flagged down the guy in the truck, get him to pull over. Say to him, you know, what are you doing with this dirt? And he's like, oh, we're just, you know, excavating or doing whatever the fuck we are to this place up here, and I'm just going to go dump this. And we say to him, well, don't dump it, you know, bring it up in the bush here, and we'll use it to make jumps. And the dude was like, yeah, whatever. Fucking, he drives through the bush, knocking down trees with his truck, dumps this huge pile. When I'm talking about a huge pile, this is a big truck just full of dirt. Dumps this huge pile of dirt down. We thank him, he leaves, and we commence making these huge jumps. We make these huge fucking jumps, like things like people like the jumps you see cunts doing on like fucking the actual like YouTube channel for BMXing and fucking all that kind of shit, and on fucking sponsored by Red Bull jumps, this huge fucking jump. Like we made shit like that. It was fucking massive. And my friends eventually jumped him. But there was a lot of stacks. We don't actually broke anything. Basically because they actually knew what they were doing. Like they would bail appropriately and do all that kind of stuff. I'd never jumped them. I was super pussy about it. And I eventually got enough courage to where I thought to myself, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. But the thing is, I thought that for like a week. I was going to say 6 days. It would have been a week. I thought about it for a week. All I thought about was jumping that jump. And I was like, it was eating me up inside that I wasn't doing it. Because even at the age of 13, I was thinking of myself as like lesser of a man because all my friends were doing it and I wasn't. Which I hate. If there's anything I hate in this life, it's being considered less than someone else. Even though I wasn't being, I considered myself to be. So it's like self-hatred. Shit. So eventually, I go jump the jump, and it goes alright. I'm like, yeah, I actually did it. But that was like the first one. That's the first jump, and it's kind of like that. It's like half the size. But I did that, and I wish I didn't do that because I built my confidence so much that I jumped this one thing that was like fucking pretty big, and I'm like super confident now. But there's another one. There's another one that I had never even considered to jump because it's so fucking huge. It's like even some of my mates wouldn't jump it. Like, we kind of just built it to make it like look good. And one of my friends jumped it once, and it's like that's it. That's like that's the end of that. But I'm up there one day, and for some reason I'm by myself. You know, my friends are out doing stuff, so I'm kind of just riding around. Eventually go up there, I jump the smaller jumps, have a good time. And I actually told my mother at the time, because I was living with her, I'm gonna go jump this jump. I'm gonna do it. I want to do it. I'm gonna get it done. I'm gonna do this thing. And she says, you know, do it. She was like, I guess she was trying to be supportive. I wish she wasn't, because it actually did help me, like, give me courage. She's like, just do it. You know, what's the worst that could happen? You know, well, I'll find out what the worst can happen. I pussy out. Like I'm going up to the jump. I'm riding super fast. I pussy out like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 times. Like riding this jump and just pussying out. I cannot bring myself to do this thing. So I pussy out like 5 times. I'm riding away, and I'm riding home, and it's like that clarity moment when you're riding away from something, you're going away from something, and you realize, like in my head, I was like, you are a piece of shit, Pypo. You are an absolute worthless human being right now. Like this is what you have become. You become like a piece of fucking shit. And then I like thought to myself, is this who you want to be? You want to be a pussy and shit? I don't know why I started thinking like that immediately, but I did. And I almost got home, and then I forced myself to turn around, and I was so pumped. Like that inner monologue I had with myself got me like hyped. I'm like pumped up. I got this huge adrenaline rush. So from like a kilometer away, I start just riding really fast and just pumping away, going super quick, and just heading for this jump. And I'm thinking, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just doing it. I'm doing it right the fuck now. I'm not gonna stop riding this bike until I hit that jump. And I'm going super fast. I'm going way too fast. I should not be going this fast. And I come in, I get into the bush, and there's like the bike path, and you kind of have to go uphill a bit, so I slow down a little. But then it goes downhill. And as I'm going downhill, I pick up even more speed. And as I'm going downhill, picking up more speed, it even like under like next to the jump, there's like the drop down bit, and I hit the drop down bit before the jump, and I'm not even thinking at that point. I was just like, it's happening. Like, there was no decision even to be made. Like I was gonna do it no matter if it fucking killed me or not. And I fucking jump it. I remember being in the air, and I remember like dropping my bike. Like I remember like I went in the air, and the impact. Like I wasn't even like. Obviously, when you jump a jump, it's like a smooth motion. It's like you slowly kind of go into the jump, and you go upwards, and you're kind of like vertical, like your wheels in the air, and you have to like reestablish like which way you're facing and that kind of thing. Like angle your wheel down. That didn't happen. What happened was it was like me hitting a brick wall because I was going that quick, and I wasn't like leaning back, and the jump's so big and steep. What happened was I kind of hit it, and because the shocks of my bike were good, all the shocks on my bike compressed. I hit the jump, went up, like I still went up like I was jumping it, but as soon as I went up in the air, all that like compression in my fucking shocks like let go and like pushed the bike out from under me. It was super weird, and I remember just the bike like going out from under me, and like just looking down and seeing. I remember looking down and like seeing like this huge like just like I was so high up. I was like looking at this huge just opening of dirt below me, and I'm thinking, fuck, man. I actually had time to think fuck, and then like that's the last thing I remember. I remember thinking fuck, and so I wake up on the ground. I still to this day have no idea how long I was out for, because I was like so busy hyping myself up. I didn't look at the time. I don't know how long I was like out there, so I fucking no idea how long I was out for. It probably would have only been like 10 minutes or something like that. I fucking I wake up, and I'm just dazed. I'm like, what? What the fuck? Like, I couldn't understand what's happening. I'm like, what is happening right now? I'm laying on the ground, and my bike's like laying next to me, like with its like front wheel like all bent and shit. I'm like, I just laid there for 30 seconds just looking, just like I didn't even think. I just looked, and it's like my brain was still switching on. It was like still off, and it just turned on. And I'm like looking. I'm like, oh. I crashed. It was like this realization moment of I stacked. And then I go to stand up. And when I go to stand up, my fucking foot like won't move, it won't act, and then when I try and like put some pressure on it, it hurts a lot. Not heaps, like not like I have a broken bone, just like I must have sprained my ankle in my foot. And so I'm thinking, I sprained my ankle in my foot. Yeah, that's terrible. That's bad. I'll try and get to my bike, and as I try and get to my bike, it hurts even more. It's starting to hurt. It's starting to hurt. It's starting to hurt. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. And then I think I'll take off my shoe to look at my foot. So I decide, all right, I undo my shoelaces, and I'm like, I'll fucking just pull the shoe off. And as I like kind of like pull the back of my shoe to go underneath my ankle, I get the worst, probably still to this day, the worst pain I've ever had in my entire life. Like just agonizing pain. Just I can't even I can't even explain how much pain I was in. And so eventually I just give up on that because even though it hurt like a lot, I was still like, well, I was like worried then. I'm like, I need to get this fucking shoe off and see what the fuck is wrong with my foot right now. But it was obviously swollen already, like inside the shoe, but it didn't look that fucked up. So then I'm decided like, well, my mother knows I'm here jumping jumps. Like she knows I'm here. So the next course of action was me to send a message to my mother saying, you know, this is literally what I sent. I broke my foot. Can you come get me? Like or something like that. I stacked. Can you come get me? Something along those lines. And she didn't even reply to me because she thought I was joking. So I'm like fucking laying there. I think I laid there for 20 minutes. And I lay there for 20 minutes with under the assumption that my mother would eventually show up and like help me get the fuck out of there. Mike killed his tank and his tank is fucking arms here. See how that goes. I don't give a shit. Um, so I lay there for 30 minutes and eventually I send another message and then another 10 minutes goes by, and I'm like, man, like, nothing is, I'm just laying here. I've been laying here forever. And then 30 minutes actually seemed like an hour, like, because I'm sitting there, and through that point in time, my foot is gradually getting more and more painful, and it's getting more and more sore. And I'm like, I need to do something. So I gotta pick up my bike, and as I pick up my bike, I'm trying to like position it as a crutch next to me. But even just the act of standing up and having my foot dangle there, like the feeling of my foot dangling was even more excruciating. Like it wasn't attached, so it was just dangling there, fucking sore as fuck. So I was like, this is not good. So I started trying to like lift up my leg and rest my foot on the bike and do all this weird shit. It's not working. I eventually like fall over and like sit there and have a little bit of a rest. And then I start yelling. I'm screaming out. I'm like, somebody, somebody, somebody help me. And for some reason it didn't queue me his tank, so what we're going to do is drop that DPS spec. And then it should put me in an immediate queue here. Is he going to do it? Yep, look at that. So I'm like, somebody fucking, anybody. Because like, even though it's like in the middle of the bush, it was like used as like a walkway between like different communities, I guess you'd say. Like different housing like places. So I'm thinking, oh, someone will walk through and they'll hear me screaming. And that didn't happen. No one heard me screaming. I was screaming for like 5 minutes. My throat got so fucking sore I had to stop screaming. And I'm like, this is not working. And eventually I kind of prop myself up my bike again, and I'm just like, I'm gonna need to do this. Like I'm just gonna need to like go home. I can't lay here and like do nothing about this. So eventually I'm like, fuck it. Let's do this. I stand up, I take the fucking bike, and I'm like in excruciating agony while I fucking do this. And I try and like get up. I'm running. I'm not running. I wish I was running. I'm like limping with the bike, like kind of like both my hands are on the handlebars. My foot's like on top of my other foot, and I've kind of got it sitting there. And this is not gonna work probably if the healer's not gonna heal me. What is the healer doing? He's just kind of sitting there. And I've walked from there, like kind of up the hill a bit. Like, you know how I said it goes downhill then uphill? I've gone up the hill a bit. I'm going to die right here probably because my healer's not on me. There she is. And I'm like fucking just gradually got up this hill. And right as I get like to the top of the hill, I see my mother like walking down the hill. And she's like, fucking, what's up? She's like, what's up? I thought you were joking. And then I go to hospital. And hospital says it's a sprain. Which, fuck hospital, man. Every single like encounter I've had with a hospital is horrible. Like, I know that sounds stupid because obviously it's gonna be hospital is gonna be horrible because you never go there unless something horrible has happened. But I mean, like, I went there and fucking healers get attacked. I went there, and every time I've gone there, it's been like they've given me the wrong diagnosis, I guess is what you call it. Like they've just completely fucked up, and said like something's wrong with me that isn't. And I eventually, like they said, it was just ligament damage. So I went home with a half cast on, which is just like a leg support pretty much. Like I didn't even really need, it didn't do anything to help me. Didn't do anything to help the pain. They gave me like, what is it? They gave me Petadine Fort, which is like nowhere near enough of what I needed. Like I have a real problem where I don't like to show my pain. So when I go to a hospital, I'm in like a fuckload of pain. Like for instance, I cut the side of my finger off when I was doing a butcher apprenticeship job. I was working and I was just cutting parsley. If you don't know how you cut parsley, it's like you have the front of the knife on the desk or the table wherever you're working, and the front of the knife stays there, and you move the back of the knife up and down. And while you do this, you just move the parsley like through the knife. Like you're not actually moving the knife at all, except up and down motion. And so I'm doing that, and as I'm doing that, a customer comes and wants to buy something. I'm so fucking dead here. I'm so fucking, yeah, I'm dead. And a customer comes, and I'm serving the customer, and then as I'm serving the customer, I realize there's blood all over my hand. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I say to my boss, hey, can you serve this customer? I need to like sort of my finger real quick. And I go and I like get a bit of like paper towel. I like put it on my finger and like my hand to find where the fuck I'm cut. And then I take the thing away and like literally, like if you look at like your nail on one of your fingers, it was my pointer finger on my left hand, and I cut like diagonally down the side of it. So I cut like the front half in like a diagonal line, and that was completely off. I couldn't see the bone; it was just all the flesh there. Like I just missed the bone, I think. And because my knife was so sharp, I didn't even feel it when it happened, which sounds super weird, but I didn't even realize until the blood was there. But when I put the paper towel on, that's when I started to feel it. Had to go to hospital for that. And when I went to hospital for that one, usually what a hospital would do for a wound like that would be to, say, burn it closed so you can get back to work, or like bandage it up properly. What the hospital did in this case was they put like a ring around it to stop it bleeding. They then put a needle in my finger to make me not feel any pain in that finger, like completely numbed my finger. And then the doctor's looking at it the whole time, it's pissing out blood. And the doctor says, we could do this or we could do this, but I think what we're going to do is just let it heal by itself, and I'll just get one of my nurses to manage it for you. Which, to be honest, I thought it was the wrong move, and it probably was the wrong move, but I really wish they would have burned it shut, because I had that finger bleeding for like 2 weeks, and they didn't want to do anything about it. And the nurse that came and like did it for me, number one, like I just live in a fantastic area. Number one, she comes in, she doesn't put on gloves. So she gets all her stuff out and is like about to like do my finger, and then halfway through about like doing my finger, she realizes she doesn't have gloves on, and she freaks the fuck out. She's like, holy shit, I don't have gloves on, holy shit. Like I guess like the whole thing is like I might have AIDS. I don't have AIDS, but like they don't know that. So like she's freaking out that she has my blood all over. And I'm like, oh, just, it's all good, go wash your hands. Like I'm fine. Take your time. I'm only sitting there with a fucking half finger missing. And she goes, like, cleans her hands, gets gloves on, comes back, and then she cannot get a fucking bandage on my finger. Like, it's not, and it took so long to where the actual needle they put in my finger started to wear off. So I started to get feeling back, and now she's like playing with my finger. It's fucking killing me so much, and she's just playing with it. She's playing it. And eventually, she kind of gives up. She kind of gives up putting a bandage on my finger. This is a nurse. This is a trained nurse. Can't put a bandage on a finger. And then she's like, all right, can you just hold this for me? She like asked me to hold this like piece of like cloth on my finger, which you're supposed to put down to stop, like, because it's like such a big wound, you put it on there first to stop like the cloth that they put on like growing into the finger when it heals. And she fucking does that, and then eventually just puts a bit of sticky tape on the back of it, and it's like, all right, there you go, that's fine, and just leaves. It wasn't fine. Like, it was still bleeding. Like, I had blood coming out of the fucking bandage. Like, she did such a shit job. So I fucking had to go and ask for fucking like pain medication, because they didn't just default give it to me. Had to go and ask for it. They gave me the Panaline for it, like maybe like one strip of Panaline for it, which lasted me like a day. And when I got home, the drugs had already worn off, and I had to take off the fucking thing myself and redo the bandage so I didn't get blood everywhere. That was fun. That was super fun. The problem was with that as well, I was still with my mother at the time, and I tried to get her to do it for me, because it's really hard to bandage yourself with one hand. But because it hurt me so much, she really couldn't do it. Like, it was like, I'm asking her to do this thing, and then it was like putting me in like a shitload of pain. So then I had to fucking sit there with one hand to like rip off the bandage she put on, which fucking hurt, and then put on my own bandage, which hurt even more. And I still had to like use the one thing that she put on as well, because I had none of that stuff. Like, none of the stuff that stops it from growing over, whatever the fuck it does. So I had to put that on, and then I bandaged it myself, had to sticky tape myself, and do all that. Once that was done, I had a fuckload of Panaline for it and went to sleep. But anyway, I got off topic again. With my foot, I did the same thing happened. I went in. They tell me it's like, oh, you just might have like a hairline fracture, or you might have a like ligament damage or something like that. You'll be fine. We'll set you up a specialist appointment. Come back in a week. I go home. I pretty much sleep for a week because I was in so much pain with that foot that I just slept. Like I don't know if you guys have ever been like that, but I just like literally just slept. I was like, I can't even deal with this. I have no painkillers. I'm just gonna sleep this one out. So I do sleep it out. Go back in, and the specialist wants me to have X-rays done. So I have X-rays done, and then eventually he gets the X-rays, and he's like, the specialist says to me, "Why did they send you to me?" I'm like, "Oh, they said that I might have some ligament damage or a hairline fracture or something like that, and that's when they gave me your appointment." And he's like, "Okay," and he's like, "Well, the problem with that is I only deal with ligament damage and hairline fractures and like finding them." And he said, "But you're missing 5 bones in your foot." I'm like, what do you mean I'm missing 5 bones in your foot? And then he shows me the X-ray, and he's like, see, here, 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 and here. You're supposed to have bones there. And then he's like, see all these little white speckles? That's one of your other bones that's been completely shattered. And he's like, yeah, you should not be here with me. And I'm just like, this is fantastic. I'm so glad that the hospital here is so fucking amazing. And that's kind of when I stopped going to hospital. I've had problems since then, but I just never go. I know that's a stupid thing, like you should still go to hospital and shit, but I've never got the specialists do seem to know what they're talking about, but the actual doctors you talk to, like face to face, like the first contact that you do with a doctor, seem to be just like wrong. Like, fuck, just wrong. Every single time. So eventually I go home, and I fucking, where's the healer here? Shit. I go home, they put a huge cast on my foot. And the thing was, because I had so many fractures, they wanted to put pins in my foot. But at the same time, they said that I didn't have enough, like, bone to put a pin through. Like, I shattered my bones so bad that the broken ones I had would heal fine. But the shattered ones I had were so shattered that they would not have anything to put a pin through. Like, it was just, there's no point in putting a pin in my foot. He said to me, you can either go to Wollongong, which is like a really far, like 3-4 hour drive away from me. Go to Wollongong and go down there because they have the facilities to do it. They will attempt to put pins in your foot. It might not work. They might not even be able to do it, but they can attempt it, and you'll have the pins in, and then you'll have to go back down and take them out, or you can let it heal by itself, and just kind of live without a few bones. And I was just like, by that time I was so done with the experience that I was just like, yeah, just give me a cast and let me go the fuck home. Like, I was so done with it. So yeah, went home, had a cast on my foot for like 3 months, 4 months. Met my first girlfriend while I had the cast on my foot. Broke up with the girlfriend the fucked up thing is, I had that girlfriend, and the whole time I was with her, I had a cast on. The moment I had my cast off, she broke up with me. I don't know, it was weird. It's actually weird now that I think about it. Maybe she had a cast fetish. I have no idea. Anyway, guys, kind of got off on a rant there. I'll end the video there with my fucking arms tanking. Have a good day. Have a good life, have a good year. Hope you like these videos, and I'll see you later. Thanks for watching, guys.